Their husbands were horrified. What will people think? Your reputation will be ruined. If it is necessary to feed these boys, we will send some food. Then all the family members grabbed their arms to restrain them, but they fiercely pulled their arms away and said, "Let go of my hand. Let go. I do not belong to anyone. I know nobody except Krishna. I have to go." As the Brahmins tried to restrain them further with words, chastisements, and force, they began to increase their speed. They walked in various different directions, and they went behind trees to prevent their husbands from stopping them. They were so surrendered that they didn't care what happened next. Like rivers flow towards the ocean and do not come back, they went to Krishna with no intention of ever coming back. We will become Krishna's, and he can do whatever he wants with us. When their husbands saw that they could not restrain them, they became immensely angry, and they said, "Then go! Go! And never, never, never come back!" While walking, these ladies communicated with each other through their eye movements, and occasionally they turned their lotus faces towards the boys. How much farther? How much further? They eagerly asked at every step. Their intense love for Krishna appeared like a heavy, jeweled necklace in their hearts. Anxiety filled their minds. Due to the heavy weight of their pots, the ladies proceeded slowly yet steadily towards the Lord of their hearts. And although walking was painful, they experienced no inconvenience. These ladies are very unique. Having heard about Krishna for a very long time, they had such a deep desire to be with him. They had been performing all their duties simply meditating on Krishna. And now they had left their homes far behind, disregarding everyone. Cowherd boys excitedly ran ahead, showing them the way, and in soft, joyful voices they indicated the proper direction. These ladies followed them, appearing like beautiful lotus flowers wandering on the earth. After a short time, the Brahman's wives noticed that the plants and the creepers seemed to be all bowing down in a humble and blissful way. And seeing this, they understood that Krishna must be very nearby. And they became mad out of their intense love. When they arrived at the Ashok Grove, they saw Krishna standing right before them. And all their pain of separation vanished He had especially chosen this place because it was Ashok. Shok means unhappiness, and Ashok means all your unhappiness is now over. So he had especially chosen this place to assure them that their lamentation due to not being able to see him was now over. They gazed at him. They could not take their eyes away from his beautiful form. One after another, they experienced Krishna's exquisite bodily fragrance. And then his dark effulgence, more beautiful than a cloud with rain. And then they experienced his transcendental beauty, the source of all happiness. His playful, charming words, and especially the sweetness of the motion of his hand that was indicating, please come, please come, please come. And they thought, he who we have only seen in our meditation is now directly before our eyes. Yes, they now saw him. And he caused them to perceive his intentions. While placing his left arm around the shoulder of his friend Sridham, with his right hand he twirled a lotus, a tiny lotus, as if to say, just see how I have seized your lotus hearts in my hand, and I am eagerly twirling them around. Or perhaps he was saying, while seeing you, my heart is twirling out of eagerness. His garments were effulgent and golden. He was dressed like a dancing actor with his dhoti pulled up to his knees. He had a forest garland of leaves and flowers extending down to his feet. He wore a peacock feather on his head, and mineral dyes decorated his whole body. Lilies were placed casually behind his ears, and his belt was wrapped elegantly around his handsome waist. Like someone greeting a long-awaited friend, the ladies opened the doors of their eyes in ecstasy and welcomed Shyamasundar right into their hearts. Then, still holding all their offerings, they closed their eyes and they embraced him to their heart's content for a long time. They looked rather odd, standing there before Krishna, with their eyes closed in fear that if they were to open them, he might escape through their eyes. Those ladies worshipped Krishna as their husband. That was the relationship that they had meditated upon for a very long time. And then they opened their eyes, and they became so astonished because Krishna, who was once there in their hearts, was now still standing before them at the very same time. Understanding their mood, Krishna glanced at them and laughed charmingly and addressed the ladies. "My dear ones," he said, "you are fortunate. I welcome you here. Now kindly sit down and make yourselves comfortable. I see that you have great love for me and have personally brought food for me with great effort. Seeing that even after he had welcomed them, the ladies were still very shy, just standing there. They didn't know what to do. Krishna came over and he personally lifted the pots from their heads and from their hands. And then he sat them all down personally and sat down in the middle of all of the ladies. Now what can I do for you? Krishna asked them all. The Brahmin ladies thought, Krishna wishes to do us some favor. Please, place your request before me, he asked. Krishna's sweet, deep voice soothed their ears, and they felt that they had attained the peak of good fortune just by hearing him speaking to them in this way. And he continued. He said, I cannot repay your love for me. May you feel complete satisfaction within your devotion and thereby relieve me of my debt to you. Yes, he enchanted their minds. He saturated them with spiritual bliss, and he completely removed the painful, burning fire of separation that they were always feeling. Your coming here to see me is most appropriate because you are wise. You have fallen in love with me. Wise persons who love me are able to see me directly. Krishna continued. He said, I see that all love, to whomsoever it is directed, all love is merely a partial, perverted manifestation of what is originally love for me. When a living being reposes his love in somebody other than me, that love is not true love. It is a false love, a love with boundaries, a love that is limited and conditional. But when a living being reposes his love in me, that love is true love, a love that is limitless in its nature. Persons who do not see me everywhere, in every situation, remain always unhappy and unfulfilled. But you are not like them. You see me always, in every situation. I am by your side. Then the next moment, after accepting their love, he sent them away. O Brahma Patnis, he said, now quickly return to your homes, sons and husbands. That will please me greatly. Hearing Krishna speak like this, the ladies were horrified. They considered his words intolerable and devoid of any consistency. He continued, you should return and finish the sacrifice I am very pleased with persons who worship me in my form as the enjoyer of sacrifice. Although Krishna's splendid face glowed like the full moon, now, instead of pouring heavenly nectar, he delivered bitter poison in the form of most unpalatable words. The frustration of the Brahmin wives' long-awaited desire to remain with Krishna now drained all the colour from their faces. Their heads were spinning. Upon their arrival and their initial meeting, Krishna had welcomed them and encouraged them, saying, "Come and sit down." But now, a few moments later, he destroyed the creeper of their desires and made them intolerably miserable. Their faces turned pale and cheerless, and an unbearable pain supplanted the joy they previously felt. Their hearts severely hurt. Tears gushed from their closed eyes. Now, giving up all shyness, they appealed to Krishna. O you who are the dearest of all, do not speak such cruel words that pierce our hearts. You are everything to those who have nothing, and we have no one else in the world but you. Do not deprive us of the pleasure of seeing you. If you do, we will surely die. How is it possible for a river rushing down from a mountain peak to turn back and take shelter of the mountain? It never happens. Rivers naturally flow all the way to the ocean. No doubt you are learned in ethics and morality, but your words are devoid of love and affection. Previously we have maintained our lives by hearing your sweet name and qualities. But where is your sweetness now? Beaming with a sweet smile, Krishna replied, "Listen attentively as I fill your ears with the truth. Such stubborn behavior does not befit you. You must know that one who hears about me, chants my name, and meditates on my form can easily bring me under control. Such perfection is not achieved merely by physical proximity to me." Now the ladies anxiously protested. "Your promise is never to reject anyone who comes to you and says, 'From today I am yours.' You must keep your promise. Our husbands, fathers, sons, brothers, relatives, and friends will never take us back. They will reject us or laugh at us. We left everything to come here. Therefore we beg you, show us your compassion. We are fully surrendered to you. Do not reject us." In this way, these saintly ladies begged Krishna not to send them home. Krishna replied, "O gentle ladies, when you go back, you will see the devatas who are being worshipped in this yajna will manifest themselves, and they will all offer respect to you, disregarding the yajna. They will disregard all the regulations of the yajna because you disregarded the regulations and came to me. Everyone will respect you. Do not harbor a speck of anxiety in your minds. You will see what happens." The ladies continue. "If it is your desire, we will return home. But in a few days, we will be dead. Our husbands will reject us. No one will accept us. We have transgressed their order, neglecting them as if they were insignificant, and left our village to come and meet you. You are well known in Braj for being very lusty. So if we try to return there again, our husbands will never allow us into the village. Out of anger, they will stone us. Of this we are sure. When we were very young, women from Braj, flower sellers and palm sellers, would come and they would tell us about you with so much love. That love entered into our hearts. As young girls, we decided we would only marry you. Our husbands know this, and they do not like us. We will stay in Vrindavan at a great distance, and we will take darshan of the tulsi leaves that have touched your feet. But do not send us away. Give your mercy to us." In great agitation, crying and placing their heads on his feet, they begged him, "Please bless us, that we may have no other destination. Subdue the difficulties that obstruct us from remaining with you. And please, please, please accept us as your maidservants." Krishna told the ladies, actually in this birth, as wives of Brahmanas, it will not be beneficial for you to physically associate with me, a member of the Vaishya community. Rather, the eagerness brought about by separation from me will increase your attraction to the highest extent. Because the activities of sacrifice are spoken by me in the form of the Vedas, you should go and cooperate with duties meant for me. Even there, you will see me physically manifest. If you think of me, I will immediately appear in this form that is present now before you. I will enter your hearts anytime you like and exchange love with you there. You can always associate with me, always, without externally changing your position. This will be much better for you right now. While you meditate on me, I will very soon make you my own. What Krishna was saying was, your love for me will grow faster by hearing about me and separation, and very soon you will receive an appropriate body as a gopi in Vrindavan. Carefully hearing his words, they fixed their minds on him, and they eagerly took his handsome form into their hearts. They disregarded his contradictory behavior, and then, whilst trembling and shedding tears of joy, they transferred all the food onto leaf plates and quickly prepared to depart. They started walking towards their homes, turning back to see him as many times as possible. Thus, somehow, they preserved the good reputations of their families. Aha! And Krishna quickly gave his blessings to those women who gazed back at him. Wherever they looked, they could see this beautiful black form wearing golden cloth, as they had seen in the Ashok Grove, and which had produced such great astonishment. After a long time, they returned home. And what do you think had happened there? Well, seeing that their metal cooking pots had suddenly been transformed into pots made out of jewels, and that their houses were now jeweled palaces, the Brahmanas were astonished. They could not understand how this had happened, but they remembered that as an infant, Krishna had once filled up a fruit lady's basket with jewels. From that very moment, these Brahmanas became obedient to the intelligence of their wives. And accepting Krishna's position, they adopted the same devotional ideas embraced by their wives. The Brahmanas reflected, although we heard many things, we paid no attention to Krishna or devotion to Krishna, nor to the requests of an offering for him. Nevertheless, our saintly wives directly took food to the Supreme Lord, the Creator of all the worlds. Although we are supposed to be intelligent, it seems that that same Lord who showered them with mercy covered us up with illusion. Compared to them, we are very, very lowly and fallen. When the wives finally returned home, everyone was so overjoyed to see them. They welcomed them back with great respect. Krishna's association had transformed them. Now, they displayed ecstatic symptoms like crying and becoming stunned. And now they were enchanted by Krishna's beautiful character, and their hearts surged with continuous bliss. They existed in a state, a spiritual state, far beyond any Vedic piety. Their hearts were now saturated with deep divine love. Seeing that their wives had reached such a pinnacle of purity, the effulgent Brahmanas smiled very happily, and they showed more respects to their wives than ever before. In fact, they honored their wives more than Shastra, gurus, or any other exalted Brahmanas. It is not surprising that they stood up and greeted them with deep affection. For anyone who sees someone who is deeply in love with Krishna will develop affection for him. But then the Brahmins lamented. Seeing their wives so transformed, they immediately understood their own mistakes and they entered into a mood of deep repentance. To hell with our knowledge, they said. What is the use of all those years of study if we cannot even recognize that the Lord himself came before us? Instead of a blessing, all our knowledge is a curse. We do everything as prescribed in the Vedas. Everything except bhakti, which is the goal of the Vedas. Oh, to hell with the vow of celibacy we took before our marriage. To hell with all our lineage of expert ritualistic priests. To hell with our expertise in rituals. What is the gain of it all? It caused us to turn our back to Krishna. Our wives never underwent disciplinary training. They never studied, learnt nyaya, meditation or purificatory rites. But look at the intensity of their love for Krishna that inspired them to act so boldly. While completing the sacrifice along with their wives, the Brahmanas felt very, very ashamed. Now, there was one lady who had been forcibly kept home by her husband, who was really angry. He had forced her to stay indoors and wouldn't let her go with the other women. And hearing the description of Krishna's beauty from those cowherd boys, she had decided to absorb herself in meditation on him. And she had lost external awareness. And there, in her inner meditation, she saw Krishna. He was standing right before her. And he said, "Give up everything and come and live with me in Vrindavan." After receiving this order, she prepared herself. She abandoned the mood of identifying as a Brahmana's wife, and within a moment, she obtained her spiritual body suitable for enjoying blissful pastimes with Krishna. Now no obstacle could interfere. She adopted the principle of rejecting a lower thing for a higher thing. She continued living at home in a spiritual body just suitable for pleasing the Lord. An intense yearning to attain Krishna developed. And as she considered her family and her husband no more important than straw in the street, a moment later she left her material body. All the Brahmanas were astonished because they knew that even a Mahayogi cannot leave the world in such an exalted way. The ladies who had returned praised their friend who could not go, saying, "No one in the world surpasses her good fortune." After saying this, the other ladies also showed indifference towards their husbands, who now considered their wives, who were now indifferent to them, they now considered their wives to be their gurus. If these ladies had not gone to see Krishna, leaving everything and everyone, no one in their families would have ever been able to understand the nature of bhakti. Meanwhile, Sri Krishna, with his own hand, served the feast to his numberless boyfriends. He praised the delicious food which had been carefully prepared, and as they were relishing the sweets, Madhu Mangal said, even though this meal was obtained by begging, it is as delicious as nectar. Ah! Even nectar is not as delicious as this food. I wish to pick up and eat even a tiny crumb that falls on the ground and is now covered in dirt. These ladies should build a cottage just near where we play and stay there and cook such delicious vegetables, soups and cakes all day, every day. And then your friends should offer this food to you, and of course, because of my position of honor, I should be the first one to enjoy these wonderful meals. How could there be any fault in that? Oh, but fearing your anger, I have no power at all to even make these suggestions. Krishna replied, "Oh, greedy one, intoxicated with your desire to enjoy delicious food, you have become completely shameless." Laughing, the boy said, "Dear friend, if he is so eager to eat like this, then lazy Madhu Mangal should worship these Brahmin wives and build a little leaf cottage beside their home. And then he can fulfill his desire to eat delicious food they cook every single day." Krishna said, "You speak well. I will repeat these suggestions to noble Purnamasi." Madhu said as if angry, "Oh, Prince of Braj, even though they are the ones who are so greedy and wish to fill their bellies eating more and more, these boys speak in this way about me. It is they and not I who am eager to become fat from begging." The boy said, "You are a talkative Brahmana, always eager to recite mantras and perform big yagyas. We know about you. We have closely examined your people, so we know what you are like." In this way, all the boys joked and laughed, and Krishna ate a little, but he didn't really desire to eat. His lack of desire was due to the pain of remorse he felt for not fulfilling the desires of those ladies who had such pure love for him. Then, after finishing his meal, Krishna and his friends drove the cows home, playing his charming flute, and hearing that melodious sound, all Vrindavan's trees and creepers in every direction became enlivened. Keeping Balaram in the front, Krishna walked into Vrindavan, surrounded by his friends. None of the boys mentioned this incident to their parents. And what about those Brahmanas? Did they get to meet Krishna? Well, as soon as they understood their mistake, they wanted to go immediately to the Ashokvan. They prepared themselves to go and to surrender to Krishna. However, as they were leaving, the presence of Kamsa entered their minds, and they understood that since they were such well-known, respected personalities, if Kamsa's spies discovered that they had gone to meet Balaram and Krishna, that may give trouble to the people of Vrindavan. And therefore, they did not proceed. However, knowing that their minds and hearts had changed, Krishna went to their village with Nanda Maharaj and all the elderly village elders to prepare for the Indra Puja. They resided there for 2 weeks in order to give association to the Brahmanas and their wives. And finally, when the Indra Puja was cancelled, those Brahmins eagerly participated in the Giriraj Puja. And they too had an opportunity to remain with Krishna for a whole week under the hill. At that time, the Brahmin ladies offered Krishna yogurt and unbroken grains, along with the cowherd women. And they also gave a blessing. They said, "May you subdue the wicked, protect the citizens, give pleasure to your family and other loved ones, and become enriched with all opulence." Thus, the beautiful pastime of Krishna blessing these Brahmanas and their wives, whose hearts had become the dwelling place of Krishna, is now complete. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Everyone try to enter into the kirtan and capture some of the fragrance of this pastime. Close your eyes and see if you can keep Krishna in the form of his name within your hearts.
Everyone.